Oh, hell yeah.
This is Dubs OT.
Can't wait.
With John Dickinson.
Hey, JD, what you up to, sugar? Long time no talk to.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live at KNBR.com and on the KNBR app.
And here comes Doncic. Butler in the lane. Luka down the lane. Wheels tipped to the ball. Butler with the defense. Here comes Curry. Foul by James.
Again, Draymond Green blowing up the plays defensively.
What are you laughing?
With JD from Los Angeles here on the Sports Leader as the Warriors get a massive win. 123-116 is the final. Warriors beat the Lakers for the first time this season, and so much on this game. The new look Warriors against the new look Lakers, with the Lakers adding Luka Doncic, with the Jimmy Butler now Warriors to go along with Steph Curry and all the young players in their roles where they have been at their most successful. And tonight was just, they did it in all phases. You could tell early after the Warriors got down that they were locked in. They wanted this game. Brandon Podziemski, out of this world. Jonathan Kuminga, maybe the best game of his season. I think certainly the most impactful against a good team that leads to winning. And it wasn't just fit your game completely in a box. He did that, but he also hustled and rebounded and defended and got to the free throw line. And he showed off a little of his back tonight. There were a couple of it was kind of the Kuminga got to have it all game. A couple of plays where, he showed off some wow moments in the athleticism and the skill, and I felt got to flash a little bit of the player that he thinks he is, but most importantly, being the player that the Warriors need him to be as kind of a wild card in this one as he returned from the injury. Draymond Green with multiple Defensive Player of the Year highlights on the national TNT stage against LeBron, against Luka, and so his candidacy is enhanced for that one. And then what can you say about Steph Curry getting MVP chance inside Crypto.com Arena to the point where Laker fans had to try and rally themselves to drown him out with boos late, with Steph kind of living at the free throw line to put the game away. A little sloppy when it seemed as if the Warriors had the thing won, but the Warriors do the job in this one and win the game 123-116. Oh, yeah, Steph, 13 of 14 at the free throw line. He ends up with, I would say, kind of a quiet 37 in this one, but he had 37 freaking points. I mean, that was a special performance from Steph on a night where Podziemski and Kuminga, I thought, kind of stole the show. Jimmy Butler, just when you think he can't put the ball in the basket at all, he's hitting corner jumpers over LeBron, and he's hitting turnaround jumpers in the post. I mean, Jimmy just has the sense to be able to rise to the occasion in the big moments when it looks like he physically can't put the ball in the basket. He bounced back from looked like some kind of a forearm injury that kept him out of his normal rotation at the end of the third quarter. He was back to begin the fourth quarter in this one. And the Warriors did it in the non-Steph minutes. They did it in the Steph minutes. And all in all, I mean, this is a true signature win for the Warriors against the Lakers. And it's a win that puts them in position still to be able to move up in the Western Conference playoff race. As things stand tonight, we'll just kind of start there and keep everybody updated. Warriors remain in fifth. Given the way tonight played out, if the Warriors had lost this game to the Lakers, they would be in eighth right now because Minnesota and Memphis won tonight. And with that Warrior loss, they would have gone one loss would have been instead of fifth, eighth. They maintain their fifth spot. They get closer to the Lakers, who stay in fourth. Warriors a game back now of the Lakers, and a game and a half back are the Warriors of the Nuggets. And the Warriors and Nuggets are going to play at Chase Center in less than 24 hours. So we'll see what the Warriors do as far as that. But not only is the 4 seed in play and kept alive by the Warriors winning this game tonight, but even the 3 seed, I think, is remotely in play here, especially if the Warriors decide to sell out and try and get the game tomorrow and are successful at getting the game tomorrow. If the Warriors can get tomorrow and go for tomorrow, they got a shot to run the table the rest of the way here in the regular season. And running the table might get them to 4th and with an outside chance of even potentially getting to 3rd, although they still would not have the tiebreaker over the Lakers or over the Denver Nuggets. Nuggets have already taken 2 of the first 3 in a 3-game season series head-to-head. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627, the number to jump in and join the conversation. The Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line is open as well. Who gets your game ball tonight? There are so many game balls to go around. If you're Steve Kerr in this one, how can you not go with Steph in the 37? Brandon Pajemski with a 22-point first half and knocking down 5 of 6 from 3-point range. Ended up 6 of 7 in the first half from 3-point range, including the 34-foot bank shot at the second quarter buzzer to put the Warriors up 13. You could go with Jonathan Kuminga in his return after missing the game on Tuesday night in Memphis. Jonathan Kuminga spectacular for all of the reasons that we have mentioned. And I think if you really wanted to get in the weeds, you could even give a nod to Draymond Green for some of the defense that he played in this game down the stretch. Solid performances for Moses Moody, steady performances from Jimmy Butler in this one, and hustle plays from others as well in more limited minutes. But the Warriors win at 123-116. So we want to hear from you. We got Kyle Harr, we got Cole LaPelt in our San Francisco studios. I am coming to you from Los Angeles here, as it is KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM San Francisco, the sports leader, a Cumulus media station. And the Warriors getting a big win here. Kyle, let's bring in Kyle Harr here at the top of the 10 o'clock hour, and then we'll get into some more thoughts on this one from just kind of running through the game and get to an early edition of Kyle's Clicks. But, wow, I mean, you didn't really know what to expect, and I think even the standings ramifications. It always, if you're the Warriors, feels good to beat the Lakers. I don't think there's much question about that. I think if you're a Warrior fan, it always feels good to beat the Lakers. There's the Steph LeBron component. Now there's the Luka component with Jimmy Butler coming over. Clear-cut standings ramifications. But I think you could also make a case the Warriors tonight, Kyle, showed out in the sense that we now know a little bit more about a potential Warriors-Lakers matchup. And I got to tell you, I think the way that the Warriors played this game tonight and how comfortable they were really on both ends wasn't perfect. At times it got a little shaky. Warriors had some careless turnovers, but I think you feel a lot more confident if you're the Warriors now about the prospect of potentially facing the Lakers at some point in a playoff series. And let's be honest, the Warriors and Lakers could be playing again right back here at Crypto.com Arena in 2 weeks and 2 days in the first round of the playoffs. If they wind up 3-6, if they wind up 4-5, some combination of that, these two teams. And I think the way things are shaken out, it's more and more likely, Kyle, it's going to either be the Lakers or the Nuggets that the Warriors are going to face, regardless of the way the seeding winds up, whether it's 3-6 or 4-5. But I think the big overarching takeaway for me tonight is beating the Lakers would be difficult, but this Warriors team matches up much better against this Lakers team than the previous Warriors team matched up with the previous Lakers team.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I do think they do match up well, even though with the Lakers' big three of Doncic, LeBron, and Reeves. But when they were able to switch Doncic onto Steph or whoever the primary playmaker was, that was an issue for the Lakers all night long.
He can't defend.
He
Luka
can't.
He is a liability defensively.
And once they beat Luka, I mean, sure, Jackson, I don't know how many minutes Jackson Hayes plays, but he's nowhere near the rim protector that Anthony Davis was either. So, yeah, I do think they match up better because the Lakers were able to just guard the perimeter and feed everything into Anthony Davis.
Exactly. And they don't have that luxury. In fact, the Lakers have played well with Jackson Hayes as a starter. I think 22-8 in 30 games with him as a starter, but he's been playing less and less. And the Lakers have found more small ball lineups. They've been playing Dorian Finney-Smith a lot at the 5. And so it really becomes wings versus wings in a lot of ways with and in the Warriors case, guards and wings versus the Lakers wings. It feels like everybody out there for the Lakers is a wing in terms of size and stature, maybe with the exception of Austin Reeves. The Warriors are playing more with a couple of guards and another guard in Moses Moody, maybe masquerading a little bit as a big, but they held their own. And I'll also say this, I mean, tonight is one of those nights, Kuminga shows you tonight where if he can play the way that he did, and look, I thought tonight was a spectacular Jonathan Kuminga game. Like, again, I think it's probably the best game in terms of versus opponent in the circumstances that he's had maybe this whole season. But his body type plays well. His athleticism plays well because the Lakers have a bunch of guys who are the Jonathan Kuminga body type. They can put 4 or 5 of them out there at once if they really want to. So to have Kuminga out there in that, be able to play and be able to succeed, I think that in this potential matchup, and again, consistency is the key. It's one game, but it's a hell of a night for Jonathan Kuminga basically to have to put that in everybody's mind that he has the capability at that level on the stage that we saw tonight to insert him himself into the chat and be such a factor, because he is on paper we talk about the idea of Kuminga. The idea of Kuminga was the reality of Kuminga in this game tonight. It was the what everybody says Kuminga can be for this Warriors team, and more often than not has not been. He was that guy tonight, and it still didn't take a dominant, high field goal attempt type of a game either. It was 7-12. He got to the free throw line. He was soaring for rebounds tonight. He was looking to make the right pass. Still a little bit slow processing it. I don't care. Still sometimes falls asleep defensively. I don't care. 18 points, 7 of 12. He hit a 3 in rhythm. He didn't get baited into taking other ones. Did he take a bad shot or two? Fine. Who cares? Again, 7 of 12, efficient, 18 points, 9 boards, 4 assists. That is the kind of game in 25 minutes. Again, it doesn't have to be 35 minutes. He does not have to start to be able to finish. Like this, I think is kind of we talk about the Sacramento game with Kuminga as one end of the template of the way tonight is perfectly acceptable. And tonight he was a little more in his bag tonight than I think we've seen him be in some of these other games where he's had that level of success. He blended it. He merged it all together tonight. I think that showing us a little bit of that guy that he thinks he is, while also doing everything that the Warriors need him to do. So again, and his ability to be a factor in a matchup specifically against the Lakers, that's something that maybe can win him a game in a playoff series if that Jonathan Kuminga is going to show up and show up with any regularity. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627 as the Warriors win in LA 123-116 over the Lakers. Appreciate everybody watching as always on YouTube and Twitch. We can get a couple going here, Kyle. Early edition of Kyle's Clicks. I saw Rusty Nail pop up there on the screen. If JK can give this team that kind of game, Dubs will be a hard out. Yeah, that's what it doesn't take superstardom. That's my point. It just takes solid, and I think tonight was better than solid. I don't want to sell him short tonight. Tonight was really freaking good. Like tonight was better than solid, but this kind of game, it doesn't have to be 35 minutes and 18 shots and 25 points. to make a positive impact on the game and make his presence felt. And I wholeheartedly agree with that, Rusty Nail. Let's get a few other ones in here in the YouTube chat. Joke's on you, JD. I don't miss AD at all. Happy he's in Dallas. The lane looked wide open all game. There was a point early where I think it was Steph and Luka was on Steph, and Steph just took him. And the lane was wide open, and he hit a little floating layup, and I marked it down early, and I thought, wow, like this is an entirely different ball game. This is an entirely different matchup. This is an entirely different world by which the Warriors are living right now without Anthony Davis in there to be able to protect the rim. And again, the Warriors are not the greatest finishing team tonight, and they missed some layups in this game tonight, but they more than held their own in the paint. And again, it's not only in the paint, but it's paint plus free throws. The Warriors had a better paint night tonight than the Lakers did. 18 to 33 for the Warriors, 36 points, 17 to 33 for the Lakers, 34 points. And then you look at the free throw line, and I know a lot of Warrior fans, that's part of what you worry about in the matchup against the Lakers is, are the Lakers going to be foul grifting? And there was a point late in the third quarter where the game completely grinded to a halt. And it was a little too many fouls, a little too much of the Lakers were frustrated, so they were trying to draw fouls. The officials, I think, were trying to control the game a little bit too many. But the Warriors end up coming out on top tonight in terms of the free throw line. And when can you say the Warriors beating the Lakers at the free throw line? 26-20 points. Warriors shot 31 free throws tonight to the Lakers 23. So shouldn't be any complaining, and they were calling a lot of the bodying up stuff, a lot of the grabbing, a lot of the clutching, a lot of the things that Warrior fans think officials traditionally typically don't give them. The Warriors got tonight. And I thought, there were some plays where the Lakers all night from being in the building at Crypto.com Arena, the Lakers were frustrated all night with the officials. They were not getting the whistle that they felt they should get or typically get or whatever, and they thought the Warriors were getting that whistle, and they were in uphill climb mode all night long because of that. And so the Warriors were able to, again, when's the last time you could say the Warriors beat the Lakers in the paint and at the free throw line? Not dominantly, but they did it. And if you're telling me that the Warriors can beat the Lakers that way, then I'm telling you that my confidence level rises in terms of the Warriors' ability to beat this team in a 7-game series. Now, the question then becomes, and Gisak, I'll get to you, the question then becomes, do you trust Podziemski and Kuminga and Moody to play at the level they played at tonight? Really, Moody was solid. Kuminga and Podziemski were outstanding. I mean, especially Podziemski with the scoring line and the three-point shooting. Do you trust those guys to do that a couple of times in a series more than you might trust Luka and LeBron and Reeves and Hachimura and Finney Smith, who had kind of a cold night tonight? That, I think, as the series goes on, becomes more and more what you would look to discuss. Gisak, the bench is the X factor. I like that matchup in every game. They all know their roles. Just makes it easier to play against the other second team and the bench. The other part of it is half of the Warriors' bench minutes are basically for the starters. When Steph Curry's not in the game at the beginning of the second and fourth quarters, they're basically playing 4 starters at that point and 1 bench player. So splitting it up and the stagger among everything that's worked for the Warriors, the staggering of Steph and Jimmy Butler's minutes has worked out absolutely to perfection. And the Warriors are winning in a lot of these big games that they're winning the non-Steph Curry minutes. So 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. Let's get to the phones here on Dubs OT with JD from Los Angeles. Best Dubs coverage in the Bay, hands down. We do it right here. KNBR, the sports leader. We get to Eric and Millbrae on the phone lines here. What's going on tonight, E?
What's going on, man? Hell of a game. Another classic Warriors-Lakers battle. Warriors really just coming up clutch here at the end. It looked like the Lakers were going to counter, try to make a run there, steal the game late. Warriors were just big-time pods, man. Just impressive, man. Really loving the confidence that he's really playing with right now. He's really outstanding right now. That's what the Warriors need out of him if they want to make a deep run. He's just lights out right now. And that first half was incredible. Just down the stretch, though, even when it looked like the Lakers were going to try to make a late run and steal the game with Reeves there going off, Doncic and LeBron. He really come up with a couple of huge shots. And as you mentioned, Kuminga, really impressive. One of his better games. They needed everything out of him, out of the bench. Obviously, Jimmy, he comes up, at times with big shots there. And then I think down the stretch there, we can say that Draymond, big time there, stripping there, Doncic on that play down the stretch where it looked like the Lakers would make a late rally there. I think that was the key defensive play in the game there. Just all in all, the Warriors just outstanding. And then obviously, what can you say about Curry? He's just locked in, playing just lights out again. So the Warriors really rounding the form. They needed this game as a massive game against a team they really struggle with, especially in their arena there in LA. And to pull this out, just game ball to elbow. Starters, bench really came through. They really countered every counter punch there from the Lakers, who tend to try to come up late in rallies and pull out these type of stretch games. The Warriors, though, just came up big time down the stretch there and really locked in, and capped off there by that Draymond strip of Doncic. So this was a game they needed to get. They got it, and now they can go to Denver, make that one. This is really going to be big time for the Warriors now. They're really, they can make a run here, maybe get a couple breaks there. They can get that 4 seed, which would be massive for the Warriors and home court in the first round. So they've gotten two so far, and then Houston obviously after that. But so far they've knocked out these first 2, and they got another one coming up. But hell of a game tonight. Just all in all, great from the starters and bench there getting it done. We're gonna need that to really lock in and make a deep run in this tough Western Conference playoff seeding. Thanks for the time.
Yep, thanks for the call. Appreciate it, Eric. Yeah, Pajemski, outstanding. Steph, the 37, just spectacular, huge impact. Kuminga, and now you've got a shot to win 3 or even maybe 4 of these 4 games in the tough stretch at Memphis, at the Lakers. Back home tomorrow, I think that's going to be the most difficult game with the back-to-back off the 2-week road trip, and we'll see what the Warriors ultimately do tomorrow. I think they should go for it. That's another question. To me, you don't sell out to win this game and get to within a game of 4th and get to within a game and a half of 3rd, and you're playing the team that you're a game and a half back of in Denver tomorrow at home. Even with the 2-week road trip, even with the second of a back-to-back, even with another game Sunday and then another Tuesday, Wednesday, and the way these games are stacked up here, to me, you don't bust out and sell out to win the game tonight only to say, yeah, we're giving a bunch of guys the night off tomorrow. Like to me, like that's almost admitting, that it's almost just negating the energy and the effort and the momentum that you have from this team's 19-2 with Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. They've been tired and fatigued in some of those games, and they found ways to figure out a way to beat them. To me, there's no shame in laying it out there tomorrow. And if you don't win, then you don't win. But if you do somehow win, then you've got a real shot with Houston on Sunday to see if you can run the table on the week. And I'm telling you, if the Warriors can somehow get tomorrow, they can run the table on the rest of the season, and that may very well be what they need to do if they are going to get to the 4 seed or even have an outside shot at the 3 seed.
Sorry,
all right, Kyle.
Just wanted to update because you were talking about it, but via Anthony Slater, Steve Kerr said the Warriors plan to play all their veterans tomorrow night versus the Nuggets.
Good, and again, to me, that's the correct decision. That is the correct decision. We'll see. Again, you never know. Look for that injury report at 1:00 tomorrow. You can say that now, but really nobody truly is going to know. Steph's tailbone could be a little sore come 1:00 tomorrow. Jimmy's forearm or ankle could be a little sore. But to me, you go for it. You don't play like you did tonight and then give up tomorrow. And you ride this thing out, because I'll tell you, if you get to 4, forget about even 3. You get to 4, you get home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs, and you get a week off. You get a week off, and you get the first 2 games at home. You basically get 2 weeks at home at that point, because the season will end on the 13th, and the playoffs don't start until the 20th, and then you're basically playing until the middle of the next week before there's game 2. And so then you're looking at, game 2 would be the 22nd or the 23rd or something like that. All of a sudden you're home like another 12 days before you're actually playing, having to go play game 3 and game 4 on the road. So there's a significant benefit to getting that. And obviously it sets you up where, you just have a little bit more margin for error if you have home court advantage. If you lose one of the first 2, you can get it back on the road. If you win the first 2, there is the ability to go split on the road. And then basically you get the gentleman's sweep if you can split and come back home 3-1 with that 5th game on your floor. So good on Steve Kerr for that. I didn't get the impression. There's a lot of discussion about that tonight, Kyle, here in Los Angeles. Like, what would the Warriors do? I was adamant in every conversation with the take that you've heard me bring to the airwaves here on KNBR. To me, you go for it. And there was, there were a few others. No, I think they're gonna not do it, or maybe they shouldn't do it, or the tough road trip and 2 weeks. Like, no. Plus, I want to see what this matchup with Denver looks like. I think the Warriors owe it to themselves to find out what this new look team can or cannot do against the Nuggets. Much like tonight was a blank canvas in terms of throw all the prior Laker-Warrior matchups out, because Anthony Davis is gone and Jimmy Butler's here. To me, you can do the same thing with all of the prior Denver matchups now, with Jimmy Butler in the fold. And yeah, I know the Nuggets got the better of them when they rested Murray and Jokic a couple of weeks ago at Chase Center. But again, I think that was such a letdown game for the Warriors that, again, inexcusable in some ways that the Warriors lost that game. But let's see mano a mano, because I think the Warriors were juiced for that game to have everybody playing as a barometer type game for them. And then it didn't happen. And I think there was a massive letdown. Rusty Nail, we just saw Memphis fall from 5th to 8th. Can't afford to forfeit games now. And then Memphis and the Warriors would have done that tonight. And then Memphis wins tonight, and Memphis jumps right back up tonight at the close of business to 6th. So they've gone from 5th to 8th to 6th in the matter of 3 days. That's how fragile it is. But tonight, a huge win for the Warriors as they get the job done in Los Angeles, and they improve to 45-31 on the year. It would be the Lakers and the Warriors right now, right back here at Crypto.com Arena 2 weeks from Saturday, if things stand as they are currently in the Western Conference playoff race. But the loss moves Denver back in front of the Lakers. Memphis moves into 6th. They've got the tiebreaker over Minnesota. Clippers a half game back and in 8th in the Western Conference. But again, all that separates the Warriors in 5th and the Clippers in 8th is 1 game in the standings, and 2 now in the standings separating 4th and 8th, and 2.5 separating 3rd and 8th in the Western Conference. 808 KNBR. 415-808-5627. Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line open. We'll get to some texts as well. But the phone lines are open here on this Thursday night. Appreciate everybody watching on YouTube and Twitch here. Monster night for the best Dubs coverage in the Bay here on the Sports Leader. Monster win for the Warriors in the first of the back-to-back with Denver tomorrow. And who gets your game ball? Who gets your game ball tonight is it Steph because he's Steph? Is it Draymond down the stretch? Is it Kuminga, who kind of out of nowhere played one of his best, if not his best games of the season? And I think you could say that tonight from Brandon Pajemski, the efficiency at shooting the 3 ball, in addition to everything else he did, I think you could put tonight, as Estimated Eyes does, Podzilla. Podzilla gets the game ball. Dig'em 117, game ball to Pods. Let's ride Podzilla. Rusty Nail, Pods for me. So yeah, game balls in the chat A lot of them going to Brandon Pajemski, and how could you go wrong making that your pick for the Warriors? 8 of 10 from three. I mean, that's a Steph Curry like performance from three. You go 8 of 10. And we talked about it, Kyle, the fact that Pajemski since December 1st is basically, and tonight will help it, he's basically a 40% three-point shooter since December 1st. Now, he was under 20, I think, in the first 6 weeks of the year. And so, he's still overall for the year isn't maybe where you want to be. But he's been really for about 4 months now much closer to a 40% three-point shooter. And I agree, Rusty Nail. Pods kept him in the game early in this one. I thought he did. I thought he did. I mean, it was a blistering start to this game. I mean, both ways. Pajemski's hit 3 threes. Moody hit a 3 early. Austin Reeves hit a couple. Rui Hachimura hit a couple. I thought one of the pivot points of this game tonight was the Moses Moody dunk that got overturned into an offensive foul during the timeout and the challenge by the Lakers. Warriors were down 17-12 at that point when it got wiped away. And that very next play, Kuminga came in right in that moment, and Kuminga helped flip the game. He was a big part of the flip tonight. I'm looking at the plus-minus numbers. Kuminga ended up +9 for the game, which was tied for game-high honors with Guy Santos for the Warriors in this one. Kind of an interesting plus-minus night for the Warriors. Kuminga +9, Draymond +4, Jimmy Butler -1. Kind of a weird one. There's a lot of the bench guys tonight.
Buddy Hield +7.
Buddy and Quentin Post, who I don't think you would think played well in this game tonight, really. But it was the start of the second quarter that helped put the Warriors up. And they won the non-Curry minutes 15-7. And a bunch of those guys with Kuminga were a part of that group. But I thought the Moody overturn is when the energy changed in this game tonight. Curry, that was the play where Curry got the switch. And Luka was a liability and a traffic cone and anything you want to say defensively. And he was frustrated because this is the kind of game on that stage. The worst of Luka, as a great a player as he is, or the reasons that Luka's not quite at the point where he can be a championship winning player yet, is a lot of what you saw tonight, right? He's kind of getting embarrassed defensively because the Warriors were really looking to attack him. And I think that's when you file away moving forward here in any future matchups. But then he's not getting the calls on the other end to help try and keep the game even. He feels like when he is trying to be more physical, he's getting called for fouls in addition to getting run by. And so the frustration level really, really mounts. And I think, the pouty, whiny Luka game is that's when you think of Luka. And again, we're talking about an all-time great player here, so let's not get it twisted. But the bad games or the non-winning games on the big stages when Luka has had them have basically all looked like tonight, right? He's pouty, he's whiny, he's not getting calls, he's bad on defense, and it is the kind of thing that can negatively impact the energy of the rest of the team and negatively impact the energy in the build. The Warriors' energy was a winning energy tonight. The Lakers' energy after that 17-12 start was not. They were uphill climb. They were frustrated. They were, I thought the Warriors had them a beat off in terms of rhythm on a lot of their shooting. And so because of that defensive prowess, the Lakers were then missing open shots. It's the old, if you're playing quality defense and you're making a team really play a beat more frenetic than they want to, shots that look like they're really good shots rim out or miss. And the Warriors were gobbling up rebounds after allowing some offensive rebounds. That was a little bit of an issue in this game for the Warriors, was the second chance opportunities and rebounds. But the Warriors did a nice job getting evening it by getting more of their own. And the Warriors ended up they ended up a +8 in second chance points in a game that they won by 7. But yeah, Kuminga helped flipped it. The bench group helped flipped it. And the Warriors had the Lakers playing kind of a negative energy kind of a game throughout. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Let's go ahead and take a timeout here. We will come back a good 40 minutes here or so, 35, 40 minutes to get things going here on this Thursday night from Los Angeles. More from the YouTube chat coming up here. And more from the phone lines, Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line. Huge win for the Warriors, 123-116. It's go time tomorrow back at Chase, and we are all over it. Best Dubs coverage in the Bay. It's Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader.
Hoops Heads, Dubs OT with John Dickinson keeps balling. Streaming live at twitch.tv/thesportsleader.
Left away, LeBron left in front of Butler. LeBron's got the steal. LeBron feeds to Reeves. On top, Finney-Smith, three. No, it's knocked out by Hachimura. Picked up by Finney-Smith. Lost the ball. Butler's got it. Now Curry. Curry the other way, fouled by Reeves. Fast and furious in Los Angeles.
They had their opportunity. Oh my goodness. Where did Jimmy Butler come to steal that ball? Wow.
A huge defensive play from Jimmy Butler, a couple of huge defensive plays down the stretch from Draymond Green, and yeah, what a call there. Kevin Harlan and Reggie Miller, track meet back and forth, chaos at the end of this one, courtesy of TNT. Warriors win 123-116. We're back here on KNBR, Dubs OT with JD. We got Kyle Haar in our studios. Appreciate everybody on YouTube and Twitch as well. A couple of phone lines open, 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. If you want to jump in and join the chat. On that note, a couple of folks on the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line, 408 here. JD, do you feel a playoff series with the Lakers would make the Warriors comfortable, especially without AD? I 100% believe that now. You bet you're behind. 408 down in the South Bay. Yeah, I think this is a much more comfortable matchup than it was before. And it's twofold. So much of playoff series become what is attackable for one team versus the other, and it comes down to playable players. And some players, star players, are going to be out there no matter what, and they just have to perform, win or lose. I mean, Steph and Jimmy and Draymond and LeBron and Luka, obviously those guys are going to be out there. For the Lakers, I think Reeves is going to definitely be out there. So it comes down to the 3-on-3 game, basically, in some ways, between that group. But then it also comes down to, it comes down to the Pajemskis and the Moody's, like we were talking about, versus the Hachimuras and maybe the Reeves and guys like that, Dorian Finney-Smith, and a lot of those bench guys. It's they play their way out of a series, because they get exploited. And if you can exploit a star enough with your stars, and that's what I think the Warriors, again, it's one game. You don't want to, the Lakers will have to adjust, but in the one game, they really took advantage of Luka's defensive limitations to get what they wanted when they wanted. And really, I mean, it manifested itself in Steph's ability to just get, others hit shots like Pajemski. Kuminga was terrific, but Steph's ability to just control the game and to score and to do what he wanted when he wanted and get to the free throw line. Bad fouling is often bad defense, and the Lakers fouled a lot tonight. Not really because they were overly physical. It was more because they were a step slow, and so often the Lakers at times against the Warriors, it would feel like the Lakers would have 6 defenders out there because LeBron knew every play. And he was almost like Draymond back in center field, just calling things out, getting in passing lanes. And then they would filter everything to Davis, and Davis would alter shots, block shots, get every rebound, come out on the perimeter and use his length and his feet. And so the Warriors really found themselves working hard to get offense against the Lakers in that prior iteration. Tonight, it was the opposite. It felt like the Warriors were getting theirs more comfortably, and it always does when you're hitting threes. And part of that is the Warriors, they made 19 threes tonight. But you know what? The Lakers made 18 threes tonight. And so it kind of matched and canceled each other out. But the Warriors were the team that was able to get to the free throw line, and I think make the Lakers play and look a step slow. And, Luka, who obviously is going to be out there, and he's going to have much better games in future matchups, I would say, offensively for sure. Defensively, who knows? But Luka is somebody that's going to be out there regardless. If the Warriors are adding a player that they weren't counting on being playable for big minutes against the Lakers in Kuminga, look out. Like, that truly is where he can, we start relitigating that conversation about what level he can be as a difference maker. Sometimes, obviously, I get frustrated with it because I think it goes a little too far. Like, he'll have a game like he did tonight. And look, I think we're done with that. I think everybody's done with that. It becomes a conversation about superstardom and 9-figure paydays and all. Like, that's not what any of it is about. It's always been and will continue to be about, can he do enough to help this team in a more of a role player, high-end role player kind of a way? And that's exactly what I think he did tonight. But if you're telling the Warriors that they have an extra playable player against the Lakers than they thought, and that the Warriors may be taking one of the stars and making him less playable, even though he's going to be out there all the time, that bodes very well. And it also felt like in the big moments when the Warriors needed a stop, it felt like they were the team that kind of knew what was coming or knew how to defend, whether it was Jimmy, whether it was Draymond blowing up plays. It felt a lot like it had felt in the opposite way when the Warriors had played the Lakers at different points over the years. Drew Butler, I think AD is a bigger matchup issue for this team than Luka. Not saying Luka can't cook, but they really have no answer for AD. Yeah, because AD's basically a guard. He's a guard, out on the perimeter defensively, and he can handle it. But defensively, he's a rim protector. He's a great rebounder. He can alter shots in the mid range. He can alter shots from 3-point range. Like, he has the ability to do all of that. So yeah, I mean, he and he's also 6'10", 6'11". Like, the Warriors don't have anybody regularly that plays. It's Kuminga, 6'8", is like their tallest guy, I think, a lot of the time. And so the Warriors wind up getting, a true skilled, athletic, capable big is without a doubt the Warriors' kryptonite, and Davis was one of those. So yeah, among the major trades that were made at the deadline, the Warriors trade obviously has helped them to the tune of 19-2 with Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry both playing, but it's also about individual matchups and how things shake out. And I think this is a completely different matchup for the Warriors against the Lakers now. And the Warriors look like the team that had a step on them tonight, which I think is something that we're not necessarily used to seeing. 510 JD, give Dre some credit for shutting Luka down. Yeah, he would. I mean, 6 of 17. They held Luka without a three for the first time in a long time. I saw that note earlier. It was the first time in a long time Luka didn't make at least 1 3. 6 of 17, 0 of 6. 19 points. That's pedestrian. LeBron, I thought, had his typical LeBron game. Hachimura had a really nice game. Hachimura plays well against the Warriors too. That's another key part of this matchup. Reeves usually plays pretty well against the Warriors. So I still, it comes down to, at least it might, does Rui and Reeves and Finney-Smith, I mean, the Lakers got nothing from their bench. 26-7 Warriors off the bench. It was Finney-Smith 2, Vanderbilt 2, Vincent 3. And you look up and they were a combined, my God, I didn't realize, they were a combined 3 for 15, the bench, just doing the quick math there, 3 for 15 and 1 for 11 from 3, the bench for the Lakers in this one. So they had a lot of unplayables. They had 4 playables. And I think that's what it comes down to in the context of a playoff series. They had 4 playables. The Warriors ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They ended up really with 5, 6 playables, right? Between the starters, I think, were all playable, and then Kuminga made an impact as well. And others, were positive plus-minus games, even guys that didn't score particularly well, but the difference off the bench was Kuminga. It was his 18. They didn't get, they got 8 from everybody else. Gee and Post, and Buddy didn't make a shot. And I think you saw what some nights might look like for Buddy Hield in 13 minutes tonight for Buddy Hield in a true button down playoff kind of a game. And he didn't hit a couple. Like I think that's the template for Kerr on nights where Buddy doesn't have it in a playoff series. And I think the 13 minutes might end up being more like 6 or 7 minutes in some of those games. But it comes down to playable players. And the Warriors had more of them, and how does that? But no, Draymond gets credit. The whole team gets credit. Draymond gets a ton of credit. I mean, this was a Defensive Player of the Year highlight film night for Draymond. Whether it's the job on Luka or breaking up plays, clutch plays. Warriors, by the way, another clutch game tonight. It was kind of in and out of being a clutch game, but it did wind up being a clutch game. Warriors 25-18 now in clutch games. I did the math on this because I was curious. They are 9-2 in clutch games with Jimmy Butler. So the 25-18, 9-2 in games where Jimmy Butler plays that are clutch games. So he has fixed their clutch problem. I think that was something that the Warriors were hoping would be the case, and it has to this point been the case. Let's see. If LeBron has the ball, that means Doncic doesn't. Good for the Warrior. Okay, I didn't quite understand that. 559 statement win for the Warriors. They own the Fakers, says the 559 down in the Valley. Appreciate that. 657. The Warriors don't fear the Lakers and don't need home court to beat them in a playoff series. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think tonight goes a long way toward showing that the Warriors don't fear them. And yeah, I haven't even really had it in my mind that the Warriors were even going to get home court. Like if they end up 4th, that's mind-boggling. Like I've been evaluating everything under the context of they're just not going to have home court. So no, I definitely would think, I mean, the most likely scenario I think now to date still, and it's helped by the fact that the Warriors won this game tonight, but the most likely scenario is the Warriors are going to be right back here in 2 weeks, or they're going to be in Denver in 2 weeks in the first round, whether it's 3-6, 4-5, they're the 5, Lakers are the 4, they're the 3, the Lakers is 6, whatever it ends up being, whatever combination of whoever's 3, 4, 5, 6, I think the Warriors are likely going to be playing either the Lakers or the Nuggets. And I still think those two teams are the most difficult first-round opponents they can face. I want to see tomorrow and evaluate it tomorrow. But I may be shifting my vote as to would you rather see the Lakers or would you rather see the Nuggets? And again, it helps to actually be able to see these teams play to kind of see how they look to guard each other and make an impact on the game. All right, more in the chat. Rich Ray, JD, how good are these Warriors? Jimmy, Steph, and Dre have guys around them who have clearly arrived. Yeah, that was a big topic pregame. Steve Kerr mentioned it in his pregame press conference at Crypto.com Arena here in Los Angeles. And it was just the question that's been asked a few different times, but he went in on just how Jimmy has settled down everybody's role. And Steve mentioned Pajemski and Moody and Quentin Post, and he didn't mention Kuminga. And I don't think it was intentional. I mean, Kuminga's had more kind of meh games than great games since his return with this new team. But to have Kuminga be able to show that he can join that party tonight, I think is important. And he played a little more with Jimmy tonight down the stretch. I mean, he closed over Moody tonight, and he deserved it. He earned it. Absolutely. And I think that's what we're going to see on a night. Like tonight is the path to how Kuminga plays like he did tonight, he's going to close. Like it, point blank. Like he plays like he did tonight, he's going to close over Moody or over Pajemski, depending upon the matchups and how those guys are playing on that particular night. And I think tonight, no slight to Moody, I thought Moody played fine and ended up with 13 points. And I thought Moody was really solid in this game tonight. 3 of 6 from 3. You needed those 3-point makes and especially the open ones, because he tends to get the ball in that wide open spot where he ends up taking a lot of shots that just have to be made. and when they're not, the game can really turn. But Kuminga, as we were talking about earlier, his body type, it plays to the Laker body types in terms of the athleticism. So tonight, if Kuminga can do that, then he can fit right in select games against this Lakers team. DVDV in the chat. I trust Day versus Jokic. I prefer that matchup as opposed to facing the Lakers, especially for a first round. It's really close. I mean, I'm not sure I'm totally ready to change my vote on that. A couple of weeks ago, I said, hey, I think you still would rather face Denver because of their lack of depth, because I think they, in a lot of ways, are more attackable defensively than maybe the Lakers would be. I don't know about that, though. I don't know about that specific part of it in terms of the attackability, because the Nuggets, Gordon's a problem for the Warriors. Porter is not a great defender, but he's 6'10". So he's kind of throwing his body around, and then Jokic is not a great defender, but he's 7 feet tall. And I don't know. It's Brown is a capable defender and kind of a hustle player. I still don't know. Westbrook is a high risk, high reward kind of a player, but he's a big guard and athletic. So they lack depth. It's two different types of matchups. But I think if the Warriors were to play the Nuggets, it would be, let make Jokic work for everything, but he would also do what he's got to do. And I think you would try to take everybody else away the best you can. And I think the Warriors are equipped to do that. Try to slow down Murray, make Murray a volume shooter, get a hand in Porter's face. The guy you really got to take away if you're playing Denver is Gordon. That's the guy that, he has had too many. He's the guy that can almost have the Kuminga game against you, where it's 18 points and it's 7 of 9, and he hits a couple threes and he gets a couple of free throws. He had the 30-point game against him going back a couple of weeks ago, obviously when the other guys were out. But that's the guy I think the Warriors have to make sure that they can, have the ability to take away. 341 on the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line. Dub Nation took over crypto and turned it into Chase to witness them kick Laker ass and take the win. There were some pretty significant MVP chants for Steph down the stretch there at the end. And every time I tried to catch him for social media, I was a little slow to it. I'm not going to lie, but the Laker fans would just start booing. They would just try to drown it out by booing the MVP chants. But there were a lot of Warrior fans in the building, a lot of cheers for big Steph plays and the big defensive plays or a big out of bounds play. And some of the foul calls as well. So yeah, Warrior fans always make themselves felt down here in Los Angeles. But the Warriors have not played well in this building down in Southern California very often, but they were able to do enough and get the win tonight in one of the best games I think that they've played, considering the stakes, since Jimmy Butler has joined the team. Erwin Kwong in the chat. I feel Jimmy Butler is holding back deliberately to develop and bring along Pods, Moody, and Kuminga for the playoffs, since he recognizes he needs them to win. Yeah, I think there is some of that. I just think he tries to play quality team basketball. But there were a couple of plays tonight, that corner shot over LeBron where he kind of pump fakes, gets a little bit of breathing room, and then just line drives it through right in front of the Warrior bench. That was a key bucket in a moment where you thought, is he going to shoot like ever? And then he hits that, and then he hits a little turnaround jumper, and it just, you can see he's got it in him, but he's also really trying. I think he recognizes, one, he's an incredibly intelligent player, and he really does fit. Like, he does not like to do stupid stuff. He doesn't like to take bad shots. He does, like, you can really, I always kind of thought, and I think I got this wrong with his time in Miami, and maybe Miami and Minnesota and some of these other teams were asking him to do a little too much at times. But I always thought he was the kind of guy that took a lot of bad shots. And I think maybe some of those teams needed him to take some bad shots, force the issue a little bit, like kind of like if Steph wasn't on this team and, he would have to maybe do that if it was just, the rest of this group. But I don't think he wants to. He didn't want to do dumb stuff. He doesn't want to take bad shots. He wants to be a high IQ, efficient player. So, and as Rusty Nail points out, he got to the line late when they needed it. He did indeed get to the free throw line, and he always seems to be capable of just doing enough to get to the line or get what you need to be able to win the moment, to get his team over the hump in these games. But that's going to be the question on everybody's mind in the playoffs, assuming the Warriors make it. And I do think they will, one way or another, make the playoffs, whether it's via the 4, 5, 6 or via the play-in. It's does Jimmy, are we going to see that playoff Jimmy Gear in the way that maybe we think we're going to see the playoff Jimmy Gear? That's the question. That's the thing that's going to be on everybody's minds. And he shows it sometimes, but he shows it even in just different ways. Like the way he did it tonight was it was subtle more than it was dominant, but effective, which I think is obviously the most important component. Let's do FL Dubs fan. Warriors have raised their grit and nastiness level. They were out muscling the Lakers the entire first half. Announcers actually commented on how physical they were. Yeah, that is night and day different since Jimmy Butler's arrival. I mean, Draymond's laying wood. Jimmy has a forceful impact on the game. And yeah, the Moody's, how about Kuminga laying out LeBron? They ran into each other and LeBron went flying. And look, I mean, that was that's making your presence felt. Like that's physicality. Like plays like that are fine. Like that's, throw your body around a little bit, especially if you're a role player. Like, Jonathan Kuminga shouldn't be worried about fouling out. Lay a foul. Use it to play aggressively. He's got enough athleticism to make some plays and have his presence felt in that vein. And so I like the way he was kind of throwing his body around tonight. I like the way he was leaping for rebounds tonight. Like he was attacking the ball tonight to get it. It was not wait around and let the ball come to him. Like he played with a purpose tonight. He played with a force tonight that isn't always there, but I think needs to be if the Warriors are going to get that level out of Kuminga. And it's coming out of the locker room. I mean, from Draymond and Steph, this is the Kuminga that if he can be consistently can help level this team up. But again, I think a lot of it comes down to the willingness and the acceptance to do the dirty work. Do the dirty work, and you'll have the 2 or 3 plays a game maybe where you have an ability to do the pretty stuff too. And so I think that was the key cog and an important factor tonight. Jill Can, the rotation is really starting to materialize after the big 3. Kerr will see who among JK, Buddy, and Post have it, but insert Vets, Looney, GP2 pods, now Moody for stability. Yeah, I mean, Steph and Draymond and Jimmy are going to be out there. I think for the most part, the incumbent two closing players on a given night are going to be Podziemski and Moody. That doesn't mean they will close every night. Tonight's a perfect example. Podziemski was on a heater tonight offensively. He was a no-brainer. And the question become Moody or Kuminga tonight. And tonight the answer was Kuminga, and I think Steve Kerr made the right call. Now, other nights it might not be. Other nights it might be Post. Other nights it might be Moody. It might be that five. And or if somebody else, if they're having a big time impactful night. But I think one of the big headlines tonight is definitely Kuminga. Really, I think for second or third time since he's been back, a real positive impact on the game. And again, tonight I think was just he really just checked all the boxes tonight. And again, it wasn't Sacramento. It wasn't Sacramento. It was against LeBron and Luka in LA on TNT, like against a team that he had played his way out of a playoff series a couple of years ago against before it even began, basically because he was so poor against Sacramento. So that's definitely something. And you know what? They're going to need him tomorrow. They're going to need him tomorrow on the second of a back-to-back with those youthful legs. You know what I don't want to see from Kuminga tomorrow? I'm going to say this because sometimes I think Kuminga coasts like he's a vet. And you're not a vet. Like you're a young guy. Like you're playing. You and Pods and Moody, like you guys are playing. Like if Steph needs to coast, if Jimmy needs to coast, if Draymond needs to coast, those guys can coast. But the young guy, like, you're not on cruise control, man. You got to be flying around. You've got the ability because of the youth to be able to play with the energy that he played with tonight. Again, like against Denver, against another team that, so I think these next couple of games are important. He's been great against Houston this year in the prior iteration. I think he's probably had his best statistical games against the Rockets. They have a really hard time with him. And if he can be impactful against Denver, I think that is important as well here moving forward. And again, tomorrow's the barometer. If the Warriors can get tomorrow, look out. And the Rockets game, with a little bit of a letdown off of tonight and tomorrow night, and the 4 and 6, and that's actually a sneaky game where, to be honest, if the Warriors were to win tomorrow, I might think about resting some guys in the Rockets game, because I think that's the game where the Rockets bring such a physicality to it, and like that might be really hard. 4th and 6, 5th and 8, to youthful type physical team, like that might be the one where it's like, get through tomorrow, take Saturday off, give guys Sunday off, then you've got Monday off, and you basically get a little 3-day rest before the final 4 games, which are going to come Tuesday, Wednesday, back-to-back, one day, and then Friday, Sunday. And Friday, Sunday is really a back-to-back in a lot of ways because it's an afternoon game Sunday after the night game on the road, short trip from Portland, Friday to Sunday. So, to be honest, I think if the Warriors could get tomorrow, maybe the Rockets game's the game, if there's one that you would look to maybe give somebody a rest. All right, 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Let's go ahead and take another timeout. We'll get to Sounds of Dubs OT. That is straight ahead, and some fun with numbers, more in the chat. Final edition of Kyle's Clicks here, as we'll keep this thing going. Probably pretty close to about 11:30 tonight, and call it a night at 11:30. But Warriors get the win, 123-116. It's KNBR, the sports leader.
KNBR presents the sounds of Dubs OT.
I can see the headline now. Kerr says Warriors better without Curry.
No class, no balls.
I want to get my joy back. I'm happy here, off the court.
Now here's John Dickinson.
All right, back here from Los Angeles, Dubs OT with JD. Warriors win 123-116 over the Lakers as they improve to 45-31, 4-2 road trip for the Dubs. They are fifth in the Western Conference. They've won 4 in a row after dropping the first 2 of the road trip without Steph Curry. They end up 4-2 on the trip back home tomorrow against the Denver Nuggets. Let's get to our Sounds of Dubs OT here on this Thursday night from Southern California. We'll get it started with Steph Curry, this courtesy of TNT. He was the walk-off interview on TNT, and he addressed the fact that tonight, and it's one thing that I shouldn't undersell at all, it definitely felt like a playoff type game at Crypto.com Arena tonight in LA. I think tomorrow's going to feel that way now that we know that the Warriors regulars at least are on schedule to be able to play. But here's Steph talking about the playoffs maybe starting early.
Steph, tell me this week doesn't feel like the playoffs already started.
It does. We've set a goal of trying to lift our level of play, preparing for hopefully a playoff series, but we know every game matters down the stretch, and the intensity has been crazy. And that's what you love, like having something to play for is special.
Yeah, and the Warriors are motivated by just getting into the top 6. I think they're motivated by having the potential to get to 4 or even 3. Again, I think they don't necessarily care 5 versus 6. It's just get in the top 6. I don't think they necessarily care 4 versus 3, although there is clearly a benefit of getting to 4 because you'd have home court advantage. You'd also be in the OKC portion of the bracket too. Now you may have to play Denver or the Lakers regardless in the first round, but I don't know about you, Kyle, but I think there would be a benefit to being in the OKC portion of the bracket. But I guess, if Houston ends up 2, then I guess maybe you'd want to end up with Houston. And the only way you would do that would be by being 3 or being 6. So I guess if you have to play Denver or the Lakers first round, but then you got Houston in the second round somehow, or maybe you don't get Houston because Memphis or Minnesota or the Clippers or somebody beats them too. So there's no guarantee you're going to get Houston in the second round. You might get one of those other teams, but you'd have home court again. And if there's some kind of upset of Houston, you'd have another home court series if you're in the 3-6 side of the bracket. But they are playing for different levels of each of those things. From Steph, we go to Steve, head coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr. Let's hear a couple from Steve. We were talking about Luka, and the Warriors have done a nice job making Luka a volume shooter at different points. And the Warriors defend those guys that like to pound it and pound it and pound it and isolate. They defend those guys historically they have well. I think this team is set up to defend those kinds of players well. And they did the job on Luka tonight, as we illustrated in the last segment. Let's hear from the head coach on how the Warriors were able to slow Luka Doncic down.
What were you guys doing that was making his life so difficult?
Nothing. I mean, we just were trying to stay in front of him. I like that they only shot 23 free throws, and I think 9 of them were on plays where we just got our hand in and they drew them, and so it wasn't like we were out of position. We played really good position defense, tried to stay in front. He missed some shots that he'll make, I'm sure next game or next time we play them, but you just try to stay in front. He's an amazing player, and there's not a whole lot you can do.
Right. And again, the fouls, I think, are the big thing. It's you want him to shoot from the perimeter. You want to make him contest. You kind of want to make him take some lazy, bad perimeter shots because it's too hard to get to the bucket, and he's not getting to the free throw line when he's attempting to get to the bucket. So, and then you hope he has a cold night. Then you hope he doesn't have a night where he makes 6 threes. Because if he has a night where he makes 6 or 7 threes, you probably lose tonight. And we're having a different conversation. And some nights he just does that because he's that good. And we've seen him do that specifically against the Warriors in the past to lead the Mavs. Obviously, this is his first game with the Lakers against the Warriors, but lead the Mavs to wins against the Warriors. Continuing on the conversation from about Jonathan Kuminga from Steve Kerr. and Kuminga's ability to level up tonight. Here's Coach Kerr.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that with his talent, his ability to get us some easy baskets, and if you can rebound, like he did tonight, it's huge for us. And I think every game is going to be different, and every game we just have to figure out what we need to do to win, and that's his job. It's every player's individual job, and it's our job collectively to do that, to figure it out and to go do it. And that's what I'm really enjoying watching right now, is just the collective sense of just win, just go out and win. Nothing else matters.
Yeah, and I think that's the template. It's the little things. It's the things that need to be done. It's the hustle plays. It's the energy. I think on a night like tonight, and I'm looking at this from Sam Gordon of the Chronicle, and I read the quote: "Solid game, did exactly what we needed." That's the solid game, did exactly what we needed. He did the things he was allowed to do, the things that he wants to do a little bit, but he did the things that they need him to do. I think that's the best way to say it. And can he build on it? Again, I'm going to give you a bonus Kuminga quote here, and this one via Anthony Slater from Steph Curry. So check this one out, Kyle. We don't have to play it or find it to play it, but this I think is important here, from Steph Curry on Jonathan Kuminga. Quote, "I think we need to just let this guy play basketball. We don't have to have a declaration after every game. We don't have to have it be a situation where we are judging every minute he's out there." Amen to that. Like, amen to that from Steph. But it goes both ways. Like that, the reality is it goes both ways. Every game he plays well, we don't need people saying he's a future star, he needs to play 35 minutes every night. Like that happens too. Like, I think lately it's been more, I think, frustration from the fan base in that, he hasn't lived up to whatever that expectation that I think is a little over the top from a lot of people is. And, I think it has skewed a little bit more negatively of late because he hasn't played well. But we don't have to put these high-end declarations, to use Steph's word, on everything. Like, if he plays a good game, it's not about 130 million and future superstardom and side of the building post Steph era. Like, it's just about, no, he helped them win a game. He's a young developing player helping them win a game in an important, like, that's all it is. Like, he may get his bag, he may not get his bag. We don't have to evaluate that every single night. And the flip side of it is, on nights where he doesn't play well, like, he's going to keep playing. Like, he's going to play some role. Like, there is not going to be a role initially going into the playoffs where he's not going to be in the rotation. He may play his way out of it, like any other role player can play their way out of a rotation. But everything is not just, one game it's like he doesn't fit, got to trade him. Next game it's he's going to be a superstar. Like, and they'll win a title if he does this every game. Well, he's not going to do this every game. Like that, like we know he's not. But that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be other games like tonight where he can help them. And if he does that once a series, that might be enough. If he has a game like tonight once a series, that might be enough to be a tipping point. And, we talked about it the other night, that he hadn't shown enough of that to where you were going to have the confidence that he could even do it once a series. Tonight tells you maybe he can, tells you maybe he can. So I think that's another part of the equation there. Continuing on here, Sounds of Dubs OT. Let's see. Draymond, as we keep the Kuminga theme tonight. Draymond's been guilty of what I will say this. Draymond has been a little guilty of what Steph says we don't need to do. He's kind of played into that a little bit. Not sure if he did tonight, but here's Draymond on JK's game.
Takes his team to another level. He was so patient, let the game come to him. He got going a little bit, getting downhill as soon as he got in there. But I thought the biggest play he made was when he got it in the middle of the paint and kicked it out to Moses. That just shows growth. He can take that shot. He can make that shot. And he does often. But to go in there, not take that shot and have the shot, but kick it out for an even better shot and get someone else going, that's what stars do. So it's just good to see that next level of growth from him. And, we need him to continue playing the way he played tonight. Every night's not going to look the same for him. That's just the way this league works when an offense isn't built around you. But if he plays we always need him getting downhill, and him playing with the patience that he played with tonight was huge.
Yeah, and I thought there was a play in the third quarter. He singled out the kick out to Moody. There was a play in the third quarter where he could have taken a pull-up jumper, and he waited for Steph to relocate to the corner, and he hit Steph in the corner. And I was sitting down in that side where the Warriors were shooting, and you could see as Kuminga threw the pass, and he immediately, before the ball had even hit Steph Curry's hands, he started smiling because he knew that Steph was going to bury that shot, and then Steph buried that shot. But it was that patience that Draymond's talking about against, or when he found Moody, he found Steph there in a moment where Steph, it's one thing to get a guy like Moody going. I understand where Draymond's coming from, but I think the plays that the Warriors really need are those ones, and he's done that. He's done that at times, but not consistently. The get the ball to Steph on the relocate. So yeah, I think that's where it's at. Uncle Looney, Draymond saying what the chat is always saying: play in the system. Yeah, that's all it is. I mean, that I do think the part about the system is telling. A little bit. It's like, look, if the system's not built around you, then you're not. It's going to be different. That I think it's going to be different every night for Kuminga is another way to I think look at it appropriately. But don't put stardom as what it needs to be for this season or even for next season. Like if he winds up being on the team and having a role. I think too far we do, and I'll admit I'm guilty of this at times as well, but we do go into the two extremes. He doesn't fit, he's got to go. He's going to be a star. Like, no, it's actually in between. And that's the one thing that I've been adamant about, and everybody knows it that's heard me, for the time that I've been on KNBR and my other radio lives as well. I mean, he does not have to be dominant for this team to win a title. He does not. Like, he can do what he did tonight, and even on some nights less than what he did tonight, and still help this Warriors team win in that high end role player kind of a mode. So really good night in a game where the Warriors really needed it for Jonathan Kuminga. All right, final cut. Let's go back to TNT here. And I thought this was interesting because it plays to the debate about, you want to play the Nuggets, you want to play the Lakers. And we go back and forth, and not really the Nuggets part. I mean, that's been kind of more of our fodder. But Shaq was in the TNT conversation tonight about who he thinks the Warriors would want to face or should want to face. And here's his answer.
I know the Lakers beat Golden State 3 times before, but they didn't have Jimmy Butler, and they were not focused. I like a focused Golden State Warriors team. They're very dangerous, and I think they want to see the Lakers in the first round. We want all the smoke.
All right. So not a lot of analysis there, I guess, necessarily, but I don't think the Warriors, it's in their DNA to fear anybody. I mean, you've got a couple of 4-time champions. You got a 4-time champion head coach that's won a bunch of championships as a player also in his day. So I just don't think – I think what the Warriors want is top 6. I think if they can get 4, all the better. I don't think the Warriors are concerned with – matchups and avoiding this team or that team. Like, that's fun for us to talk about, but the reality is they're going to have to beat the Lakers, and then they're probably going to have to beat Oklahoma City at some point, and then they're going to have to beat maybe Denver or Minnesota or the Clippers, or like you're going to have to beat some combination of three of those teams in the Western Conference, and then probably Boston or Cleveland, probably Boston. But you're going to have to beat one of those teams in a finals if you're going to get to the ultimate goal. And so I don't think there is going to be a picnic route. There isn't going to be an easy route for the Warriors. So if it's Lakers, OKC, Denver, if it's Denver, OKC, Lakers, if it's Lakers, Minnesota, Clippers, whatever it ends up being, based on how things shake out, you're going to, at a minimum, I think, face two incredibly difficult teams. Like, you're going to face two for sure. Like, you're going to face Denver or the Lakers at some point, and you're going to face OKC. So, like, you're going to face two of those three at some point. I think if there's somewhere where maybe you luck into an easier matchup, maybe you catch a Houston in one of the rounds, depending upon how things shake out. But Houston will take a pound of flesh, man. Like, you may beat Houston, and I know everybody's confident, myself included, about the Warriors' ability to beat the Rockets, and they've beaten them 3 out of 4, and they've beaten them a couple times without Steph and Draymond. But the Rockets will take a pound of flesh. Like, they're the kind of team that you might beat them in 5, but they might still prevent you from doing something in the next round because somebody's physically beat up, or somebody's injured, or somebody's suspended because they got in a brawl with that team. Like, they definitely, I think, have the ability to take a pound of flesh. All right, let's close it up here, Kyle. Let's go ahead and do fun with numbers, and then we'll close it up here. No break. Let's do fun with numbers, and then let's do our final installment of Kyle's Clicks here before we call it a night, and reconvene back in the Bay tomorrow after the Warriors take on the Denver Nuggets. Back at Harmonic for the first time in over 2 weeks tomorrow night. Looking forward to having a cold one post-game. Stop by and say hi if you're headed to Thrive City tomorrow, and the Giants game tomorrow. If you're going to the Giants game, if you're going to both games tomorrow, whatever the heck you're doing, if you're going to the Giants, go check out Harmonic in between the two games, and we'll be hanging out there for Dubs OT. But let's go ahead and roll the fun with numbers.
This is Dubs OT with JD. Time now for fun.
I'm a fun guy.
With numbers.
No, I'm just having fun.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live on KNBR.com and the KNBR app.
All right, we talked about the trip. 4-2 for the Warriors. 13-0 with the Curry, Pajemski, Jimmy Butler, Moses Moody, Draymond Green starting lineup. Warriors have won 13 of 16 overall. They've won 4 in a row. They win the final 4 of the trip. First 2 without Steph. Think about where this trip potentially could have wound up if Steph had played those first couple of games. I mean, wow. I mean, the Warriors, they again, can't go back, but they might be 4th on the brink of 3rd already if they had kept winning. 19-2 when Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry both play. 19-2 in 21 games where they both play. We had the clutch numbers. The Warriors are now 9-2 in clutch games where Jimmy Butler plays. So 25-18 overall. And this season, without Jimmy Butler, either pre-trade or without Jimmy Butler, the one game he missed at Philadelphia back on March the 1st, 9-2, 16-16 in 16-16 in non-Jimmy clutch games for the Warriors, 9-2 in clutch games with Jimmy Butler. Tonight, barely it eked in there as being a clutch game within 5 with 5 minutes to go or less. Warriors with the 30-plus assists in this game tonight as they ended up right on the number, 30 assists. Warriors ended up only 13 turnovers tonight. That I think was another. The Lakers really, there were some careless ones at times, I thought, but the Warriors didn't. 13's a number you can live with. There wasn't a lot of ball pressure for the Lakers against the Warriors until late. Late there was, kind of the frantic scramble trying to create some extra possessions. The Warriors have to handle that a little better. It got a little dicey for them down the stretch as, really when the game was basically, and we've seen that be an issue for the Warriors too, where the game is basically clinched and then they start turning it over in the backcourt. They can't beat traps and they can't beat full court press, which is, something that you got to have buttoned up. I think headed toward the playoffs. You can't be giving away 7-point leads in 40 seconds. And that we've seen this team before Jimmy, yes, but even with Jimmy, we've seen them stumble to the finish line in a couple of those instances specifically. Warriors 20-4 overall with Jimmy Butler in the lineup. Again, 22-17 on the road. The next 2 at home for the Warriors, and they do have a couple of road games, only 2 more road games to go at Phoenix and at Portland for the Warriors. Podziemski tonight. You look at Steph. Let's go with Steph first. 37 points, 18th 30-point game of the season, 52 and 37, so 89 in the last 2 games. Incredible output from Steph. Podziemski had the career high 8 3-pointers, 8 of 10, 28 points, 1 shy of his career high for total points, 22 in the first half, the most points he's ever scored in a half. And Podziemski on the 6-game trip, 17 points, 52% from 3, 6 boards, little under 4 assists. He played 32 minutes. He made 23 threes on the trip. Now, he played all 6 games. Steph only played 4. But Steph and Podziemski tied for most threes on the trip for Warrior players with the 23. Again, Steph only needed 4 games to do it. And then Jimmy, we talked about his impact with 11 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, and 3 steals as the Warriors get the win. All right, let's get a couple of Kyle's clicks here before we wrap things up. San Jose Jazz fan 4, Bronny DNP coach's decision. Dodged a bullet right there. Yeah, lay off Bronny, man. Lay off Bronny. I don't know. Dig up 117. I was a Pods hater at the beginning of the season and have apologized for being wrong. Yeah, there are a lot of guys that were wrong about Pods, and again, I think he's caught between it. We were discussing this Sunday, or maybe it was Tuesday. Him and Kuminga are kind of similar in ways, like with their mentality. I do think they both put an abnormal amount of pressure on themselves to do big things, but that yet they also both have a little bit of an irrational confidence that they can get big things done. And I think for both of them, it's about finding that happy medium to be able to help the team win. And I think Podziemski has found that really slightly before the Jimmy Butler trade, but he's been able to have it still be a thing even after the Jimmy Butler trade, and more impactful after the Jimmy Butler trade. Kuminga still trying to find it, but it's interesting. I do think, the complete opposite types of players, but I think very similar, both in their abnormal confidence for players as young as they are and experienced as they are, but also the putting too much on their plate, I think, too quickly, which leads them to trouble. But I think a lot of people are apologizing about Pods. Erwin Kwong, just give Draymond the Defensive Player of the Year already. He's been unbelievable the last month. Can you win the Defensive Player of the Year in a month and a half? I think Draymond's showing maybe that he can, as the Warriors continue to vault up the standings. And again, tonight was a highlight reel of Defensive Player of the Year on the stage where, this was got to be one of the more watched games. I'd be willing to bet this game is probably the most watched 7 p.m. Pacific game of the whole year nationally, or 10 p.m. That's obviously late in the East Coast, and so the numbers are not quite the same at 10:05 or 10:10 or whatever it was Eastern time. But I'll bet for this time slot, weeknight, 10 a.m. Eastern or 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, I'll bet this was the most watched national televised game of the year in that slot. So a lot of eyeballs on it for Draymond tonight. Let's ride. Reeves said, damn, Luka, we gave up AD for this. One other thing I was going to point out tonight, Quentin Post tonight, this made me think of it. Quentin Post going at like Luka and LeBron. Like he was just chirping. And like Jimmy Butler was kind of having his back against him, and Draymond's coming over having his back. College, you want to jump in on this? Like Quentin Post, you could see, I'm not sure how much of the television caught it, but it was going on right in front of that basket where the Lakers were shooting in the first half, which is right where the media seating was for us. So I had a front row seat to Quentin Post was just running his mouth something fierce tonight against some future Hall of Famers, Kyle.
Oh, no, I love it out of the rookie. But so, yeah, I saw the TV pan to when Quinn Post knocked the ball out of LeBron's hand. Yeah. And he was like, it's our ball. And then LeBron was like shaking his head kind of sarcastically. And then I think it was, Luka Doncic. And there was a clip came out that I can't repeat what Luka said in that clip, but Luka was at the free throw line and him and Quinn Post were jawing, and then that's when Draymond came over because I think LeBron tried to bully on Quinn Post again, and then Draymond came over and tried to settle things down. When Draymond is the voice of reason, that's how you know.
Yeah, that's when you definitely know for sure. One quick thing on Jimmy Butler. I know this from Young Masuk of ESPN and the Jimmy Butler fray in the locker room postgame. I know Steve had said the intent is to play everybody. Reporting here via Jimmy that Jimmy Butler had said he hasn't undergone any tests on this left forearm thing. That obviously a legitimate injury. Isn't sure about tomorrow night against Denver. So again, not a rest type of thing. That this forearm thing is something he said he'll have to see how he feels in the morning. Hopeful, but not official that Jimmy will be in action. Again, not a rest situation, but I hope again for our viewing sake that we're able to see Jimmy go up against Denver because I want to see how that matchup looks. Robert Brown, I think Luka got into JD's Kolsch stash before the game. Luka was a little cranky tonight, but I think the Warriors made him cranky tonight. I think that's part of the deal. Enter the Draymond. I'd like to complain about Pods and Kuminga, but I can't. You and everybody else. I mean, my goodness. Yeah, that's another one. Between the two, right? Between the two, you had the guys who couldn't stand Pods. Some think Kuminga's great. Some can't stand Kuminga. Think Pods. But they're both. Tonight is a night where you can't. Not a bad word about either, and they both help the Warriors get what I think to date is their biggest win of the season. I think this is, and again, you might have said that Tuesday night in Memphis. I think you could have. But you're saying it again tonight. We might be saying it tomorrow from Harmonic if they beat the Nuggets, especially if Jimmy Butler can't play and they beat the Nuggets for the first time since 2022. But, big time good stuff there. All right, our final comment of the night right here. You play the thing. Yeah, there we go.
Now, time for the Dubs OT comment of the night.
San Jose Jazz fan 4 continuing, I think, to lead in comments of the night here on Dubs OT. Luka is my favorite wine. If only he came in a box. San Jose Jazz fan putting away some boxed wine, some Costco wine. Good stuff there, San Jose Jazz fan. Appreciate you. And appreciate everybody in the chat. We had some huge the numbers that this show, it's so special. It continues to grow. And we got big things ahead, including tomorrow night as early flight back to the Bay. I'm going to be out at Oracle Park tomorrow for the Giants and the Mariners in the opening day, and just kind of hanging out, keeping tabs on what's going on. Might as well get into the city early, right? And then we got Dubs OT after the Warriors take on the Nuggets. And we got a full Just Dubs show, a 2-hour edition of Just Dubs on Saturday from 10 until 12 with the Giants playing in the evening. And then we're back on Sunday for Dubs OT. after the Warriors take on the Rockets, and going to be filling in a couple of morning shows this next week. I think Tuesday and Wednesday. So we got some big days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Warriors at Phoenix. We got a YouTube only, our finale of the regular season YouTube Tuesdays with the Warriors and the Suns. That one's probably going to be a shorter edition, just to let everybody know, just because there is the quick turnaround, and I'm going to be back on the morning show on Wednesday. So I'll probably keep that one closer to an hour, maybe even a little bit under. Than some of the hour and a half or 2 hours that we go on a nightly basis when we've got the full crew and cast of characters. And then the Spurs Wednesday and Portland. And, I mean, this thing's going to end here in terms of the regular season in a blink. Only 10 days to go and only 6 games to go. 2 this weekend, 2 midweek, and then the 2 to close things out next weekend at Portland and the Clippers. It is going to be a lot of fun to see where this thing ends up, and we got you covered wherever the Warriors go. If the Warriors are playing the Lakers 2 weeks from Saturday, I'm going to be right back here in Southern California. If they're in Denver, I'm going to be right back on a plane and headed to Denver, and we couldn't be more excited to bring the best Dubs coverage in the Bay to you after all of these games. So thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to Kyle Haar. I see Overnight Dave in there, and it was a Cole LaPelt night as well. It was a Casey Copeland night as well. I know that. Anybody I left out tonight, Kyle? Kyle Chung hanging out? Getting that plus minus up?
Oh, man. Oh, you know he's roaming around somewhere. Yeah.
Kyle Chung's plus minus was pretty good tonight. I think, again, another one of those but I think you could call him Buddy Hield. Probably went 1-0 I didn't see him. Out there, but ended up with a +7. So yeah, in a +7. So it just, I mean, some guys are just able to roll like that, and we definitely appreciate Kyle Chung for that. So we'll talk to you tomorrow night. Quick turnaround. Enjoy your Friday. If you're a baseball fan, enjoy opening day. If you're a Giants fan. And we'll talk to you tomorrow night at Harmonic in Thrive City. Warriors win 123-116. It's KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
The other way, 2 seconds. Pajemski. Why not? Off the glass and down the hatch.
Emirates Cup or bust.
Oh, hell yeah. First of all, you guys start off liking each other.
I'm super cereal.
Big fat dub.
Ain't nobody going to stop me. I just wake up and I can shoot it no matter if I'm playing or not. But great win.
Who are these guys?
I love you, JD. Bye, sugar.
I can see the headline now. Kerr says Warriors better without Curry.
Jimmy freaking Butler puts it in.
Everything's gonna be all right.